Hey, what's going on, 200K fam? Hope you're doing great this Sunday afternoon. It is warming up a little bit here in North Carolina. We were in the 20s the last couple days. We're going to be in the 20s the next couple days, but right now it's actually upper 30s, lower 40s. So warming up a little bit, which lifts my spirits a little. It kind of gets very exhausting working in these freezing temperatures sometimes, but hey, it's what we signed up for. So, but that kind of brings me into what the purpose of this video is. As you guys can tell from the title, we're talking about fatigue today and how to handle deployment fatigue. And this is something that everybody is going to have, regardless if you're doing virtual or if you're in the field. A lot of us are working 10 to 12 hour days, 6-7 days a week. Not your normal 9 to 5 job. A lot of you guys who've never been on deployment before are getting ready to have your first taste of what it means to literally work all the time. You guys think you work hard, and you're about to find out what real work is like. But there comes a point in just about every deployment where you're going to get that deployment fatigue, that exhaustion, that, man, I can't wait for this to be over. And if I'm being honest, right now I am at that point. I had my, I took the summer off last year. Then I started working, about middle of July, I guess, or end of July, started a virtual deployment. I'm sorry, getting all lost here. Did a virtual deployment from July to about September. September, I went to New Jersey, worked New Jersey all through September for the most part. Then went to Louisiana after that. Came home just before Thanksgiving, and then went to Kentucky, December 10th. So literally, I've been working almost nonstop from middle of July, and a good chunk of that has been on the road. So, between September and today, I've been home for about 3 weeks. So it gets exhausting after a while. I have 2 little girls at home, have a wife at home, and man, you start to miss your anchor, your family. Call it the anchor because that's what keeps you down. So I have hit that mental fatigue. I am ready to be done with this for a while. I have till the end of this month. They're supposed to have somebody come in and filling in for me at the end of this month, and I am ready to be done. But in the meantime, that's still 3 weeks away. What am I going to do between now and then? Or how do I handle fatigue in general? The last time I got really fatigued was in Louisiana when I was working cleanup. I was working cleanup for 6-7 months in Louisiana. That was very exhausting. The good thing about Louisiana is I was able to go home every other week or so. I would do a bunch of my inspections and then go home and close inspections from the house, and that kind of helped ward off fatigue and stuff. I don't have that opportunity here in North Carolina. Obviously, it's 20 hours away from home, so not going to be making that drive every other week. So a little bit different. So what am I doing today to ward off fatigue, or even for you guys who work virtually, even virtual people, you get 6-7 days a week, you're working 10-12 hour days, and after a while it's exhausting. A lot of people aren't used to this kind of schedule, this kind of workload. So what do we do when we have fatigue? So I think I got a couple points here for you guys to kind of help make this a little bit easier for you. Let me get them in front of my face here so I can kind of share with you. So one thing that we just talked about is, you got to keep in touch with your anchor point. My anchor point is obviously my family. Some of you who don't have a family, it may be, some friends back home, whatever it is, what's your anchor? Maybe you made some friends on location and that became your anchor point. So you have to keep in touch with your anchor point. One thing that we do is obviously we try to talk to each other every day. Sometimes that doesn't work out, just depending on my day. But more than just talking to each other over the phone, is we do FaceTime and we try to do games over the phone, right? So, like the other day, we played Scattergories over the phone. We've done Battleship over the phone. There's ways that you can even play games together. I got two girls at home, and it's one thing to be talking to them every day, but it's another thing to try to at least try to engage on a regular basis. And what that does for you is, yeah, it's not the same thing, but it gives you a sense that, hey, I'm there with my family, even it's virtually. It's not the same thing, but it does do a lot to help you overcome some of that fatigue, because you have some sort of normality that you're doing at that time. Okay, so that's one, is keep in touch with your anchor point. Mine is my family. You might be your friends, or even your coworkers on deployment. Number 2 is have a scheduled day of rest. Now, drop my pen there. For you guys who are working 7 days a week, you're like, man, I can't take a day of rest. I'm working 7 days a week. Well, you can take a paper day, right? And so what you need to do is, Sundays, I'm actually working 6 days a week here. So Sundays is kind of my day off for the most part, unless, I had to take some time off during the week to do something, then I'll make up those hours on Sunday, just make sure that I'm giving my employer the amount of time that they're paying me for. This is an hourly gig. It's not actually a component gig. So Sunday is my set time off, but Saturdays I have set aside just for paperwork. So no matter what I do during the week, Saturdays set aside for paperwork, then make sure I can catch up if I get behind. But also it gives me, a chance where I'm not out. Usually paper days, I can get up as long as I was organized during the week and I had my work ready to go on Saturday. It's usually a shorter day. I'm able to get everything done that I need to get done in 6 hours instead of 12. Really depends on how organized you were during the week, right? Or you may work all 12 hours that day if you weren't that organized. So if you're organized, though, you can usually that day, you're probably working 6 maybe to 10 hours at most. And what that does, you're staying, you're not heading out into the field. You're not jumping on roofs. You're just, pushing paper. And that's really easy. It's kind of simple to do. And it gives you a chance to rest, right? It gives your physical body a chance to rest, okay? So that's number 2. Number 3, you need to have your goals in front of you at all times. And I think this is one of the bigger ones. So there's a reason you became an adjuster, right? And I know some of it is just, hey, I want to make more money. Well, if making money is the only reason you became an adjuster, you're going to burn out. So you have to have some purpose for that money that you're using it for, right? So I became an adjuster because I wanted to be able to develop other streams of income long term over the next 5-10 years. You only can do that with excess money that's over and above your income, or I'm sorry, your expenses every month, right? So you got to know your expenses. We've talked about that in other videos. But I know basically what I need to make to cover the expenses, and then I have allocated on top of that what's going to go toward other streams of income. Now, let me tell you something. Well, no, that's for another video. But so my goal that I have written down, right? Actually, I need to show you guys how I write out my goals, because I do write out my goals. My goals are in front of me. So whenever I get fatigued, I know that the bigger my goals are, the more I have to sacrifice for it. But I also know that if I have those goals in mind, I'm willing to do more of the things I don't want to do, because those goals will allow me to do things that I want to do more. Does that make sense? I guarantee you, if you have 3 or 4 streams of income coming in and you don't want to take a deployment, You don't have to, right? That's kind of the deal. Like, you're not dependent on that next deployment. You don't want to be dependent on the next deployment. You want to have some flexibility where you can turn an assignment down. Honestly, I wish I had turned the Kentucky assignment down because I missed Christmas. I missed the New Year's with my family. And I had, technically I didn't need to take that assignment because I did have a virtual gig I was working. But the assignment, was like twice as much money. And if I'm honest, I got a little bit greedy, right? So there's situations like that. But there's other situations where I have a buddy of mine who had a bunch of medical stuff happen last year. And he was in Louisiana, and, Louisiana came to a close, and they offered him a chance to go to California. And he's like, man, should I take this gig to California? It's really not the pay that I was looking for. I'm kind of disappointed in what they're offering. And I was like, dude, can you afford to pay your bills without being on deployment right now? And he's like, no. There's your answer. It's binary, right? It's real black and white. That's your answer. You got to go take that for no other reasons. You got to pay your bills until the springtime when hail season hits, right? So he didn't have a choice. What a sucky way to live life without choices. And so I didn't want that. I want to have options. And because I want options, I have to develop other streams of income where the next time this comes around, I'm not going to be as greedy because I have other streams of income in. I'll just say, no, I don't want to go to Kentucky. I have a virtual gig and I got 3 other streams of income coming in. I can say no. I'm going to spend the holidays with my family, and that's my goal, my long-term goal. So that's what I keep in front of me, okay? So now when I have fatigue, like I do now, it's like, man, I just want this to be done. What keeps me going is that idea, hey, you know what? 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, I'm going to pick my deployments. I'm going to pick the people I work with. I'm going to pick the places I go. If the only thing that's available is a state, like, honestly, I didn't really like New Jersey. New Jersey kind of sucked, right? So if that's the only deployment available, New Jersey, well, I don't care what the money is. If I don't want to go to New Jersey, I'm not going to go to New Jersey, right? That's the options you have. So you got to have your goal in front of you because your goal will help you overcome the feeling of, man, I don't want to do this. Man, I want to quit. I want to end this deployment now. I want to just pack up and go home. What's your goal? Having your goals in front of you is so very important. So anyways, those are my 3 tips. If you have some tips on how you handle fatigue, go ahead and put those below. Again, just to recount, 1, keep in touch with your anchor point. My anchor point's my family. You might be your friends, might be people you met in deployment. But you have to keep in touch, even when you're virtual. When you're virtual, it's easy just to stay home on the weekends. Let me tell you something. You got to stay in touch with your friends and your family, even when you're working virtual. It's easy not to do because you assume in the back of the mind, I can always do it. Well, you can't always do it, but you need to do it, okay? You need to do it. You need to keep in touch with your anchor. Number 2 is you got to have a rest day. You got to have an easy day. No matter what, you're not scheduling anything but paperwork on this day. No matter what. You don't care what anybody else says to you. Don't matter any of the pressure. You're still working, but it's an easy work day. And that's going to help you recover some for the week. And then last, one of the most important is always keep your goals out in front of you. Your goals will help you push through the things you don't want to do. Because you know in the back of your mind that once you attain your goals, you're going to be able to do the things you want to do more. So your goals have to be in front of you at all times. So anyways, if you have any way to add to the conversation, feel free to comment below. I appreciate you guys tuning in every time I post. I appreciate the feedback you guys give me, and hopefully you find this to be beneficial. So with that, we will talk to you later.